Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Steph and happy day 6 of Vlogmas. I can't believe we're already 6 days into Vlogmas. We are 6 books deep into my Goodreads Choice Awards list. And like, so far so good. It hasn't been terrible. It hasn't been a terrible time. I've been having a good time with actually, I would say like 80% of the books. If you haven't been following along and you are just stumbling across this video, I'm doing a 7 days of Vlogmas where I read the Goodreads Choice Awards books that I owned. So initially I used a list of 12 books, which was kind of a happy accident. And I was able to use a 12-sided die. And over the course of the video series, I have gone down to now 2 8-sided die. And when I roll these 2 little guys, I get to roll with advantage or disadvantage if you're not familiar with D&D. In the game, rolling with advantage means that you get to pick the higher number, and disadvantage means you get to pick the lower number, or you have to pick the lower number. For me, my advantage is that of the 2 books that I roll, I get to pick the one that I'm more excited about. And then obviously with disadvantage, I have to pick the book that I'm the least excited about, which I've been excited about the majority of these books, but obviously there are some that I'm more excited to read than others. And so going into this roll, as you may know, if you've been keeping track, we get to roll with advantage because I loved the last book that I read, so much so that I read it twice. I woke up this morning really wanting to read a fantasy, and honestly, I think the only fantasy left on the list is The Raven Scholar, which I have read like a quarter to almost half of The Raven Scholar in the past. And I was just in a place where I was wanting contemporary romance. I wasn't in the mood for fantasy, so I ended up putting it down. But at the time, I was really liking it. So I do feel like I have a good chance of loving The Raven Scholar, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to roll for today. But I will also take one of the contemporary romances. I won't lie, I'll take one of the contemporary romances. Don't know that I'm in a literary fiction mood, but the dice are going to tell me what to do. If you could please do the honors and blow on the dice. Kiss them if you'd like, whatever you want to do for good luck. Thank you so much. Also, let's put good energy out there for the Raven Scholar. That's a 5. That's a 5. Is that a 5? That's a 5. That's a 5. And a 4. That's a 5 and a 4. Oh, you guys did it. Oh my God. I wouldn't have even had a choice because the 4th one is the book I already read. Well, obviously we're going with The Raven Scholar. I am so excited. And today, if there's one thing that I absolutely need to get done, I need to clean this office, and I especially need to clean this bookshelf. This might be 2 separate things because the office itself is quite messy since I've been making so many things for Christmas. Overall, I need to clean up. I need to vacuum in here. I need to dust. It has to happen. So I went to an art festival yesterday, and I went with Kitty from Spicy Cats Reads, and I had so much fun. There were so many pop-ups there, so many shops there, so many amazing artists, and I did spend a little bit of money. My biggest kryptonite is stickers, art prints, and crocheted anything. It's crocheted and it's cute, I'm gonna get it. If it's a cute sticker, I'm getting it. Do I have any place for any of these things? No, but I just like silly little things. I love them. Although, because I am getting into like junk journaling and collage journaling, I felt like my purchases were very smart. They're going to be very useful. And I have so many stickers. I have so many stickers that I just haven't put anywhere. And I've kind of grown out of putting them on my water bottle. So I ended up getting mostly stickers. Did I just get stickers? I think I got all stickers. Well, I got Jared a cup, which I can insert a video of what I got for him because he is using it. So I got Jared a cup. And then I got myself a bunch of stickers. So I found this feminist gift shop. She mainly had stickers and prints. There were a few other things, but I ended up loving the stickers. So the first one is kind of like a little sticker sheet, and it has a mushroom and an acorn, and her whole theme was that everything had women's bodies on them. So the boobies were out. I also got this New Beginnings seed pack, which I really loved, and it spoke to me because that's one of the things that I'm really working on this year, is like having a new beginning to health and happiness and like working on myself. And so I've already envisioned a spread that I want to do in my journal when it comes. And then this strawberry milk one, anything with strawberries is going to get me. Anything with a little strawberry moment is going to get me. And the fact that it was women's bodies and this little milk carton, absolutely adorable, babe. So that's all I got from Little Woman Goods, although I could have gotten more. I almost got a print, but I just don't know where to put it at the moment, so I didn't get it, but you better believe I'm going to go on their website. So the second place that I went was Tiny Bee Caris, and this is where I went a little ham. So they were doing a deal that if you got 5 items, any of the items in the shop, you could get one of the items. I think it was the lowest priced item for free. So I ended up getting 10 things and 2 of them were technically free. First things first, very important. I got this frog sticker sheet because obviously. So this is the kind of art that like is going to get me every time. I love a silly, goofy little animal print, and you're going to see a theme here. You're going to see a theme. I don't know. When I see stuff like this, it just speaks to me. I just love a silly, goofy, cozy feeling item, if that makes sense. So I got a rootin' and tootin' frog, and one of his eyes is bigger than the other. And that just spoke volumes to me. That spoke volumes to me, babes. And it's rootin' and tootin'. He's rootin' and tootin'. Look at his little boots. God, I love a frog. On the same theme, obviously, we had to get a meowty. We had to get a meowty. You know we had to meowty it to him. Look at his little kerchief and the little wheat stalk in his mouth. Wow, this is perfect. Also, his ears stick out of the hat. Incredible. It's incredible. Gonna loaf because I love loafing around the house. I also love when my cats do a little loaf. Got a mushroom cat. Couldn't be more me. Also a little bit glittery. A little mushroom terrarium. Is that what we're calling it? Would we call this a terrarium? I don't really know, but I loved it. Serial hobbyist, because I really am. I'm always picking up new hobbies, always working on old hobbies. I love it. I love having just little things to do to work my brain wrinkles. Catula. Yeah. Catula. They had a bunch of like spooky ones. So another thing about me is I love ghosts. I really love most Halloween creatures. I love most Halloween like classic decor. I'm not a big fan of like the newer decor that's like pink and stuff. Get that out of my face. I want it classic and I want it silly. So I'm a big fan of most traditional like silly Halloween stuff. However, there is something about a ghost that I just love it so much. They had a few ghost things and I was so close to getting them, but I literally have so much ghost paraphernalia that I needed to cool my jets. And I also knew that I had their business cards, so I am definitely going to be finding them online and buying from them. And then the last 2 things I got were washi tape because, again, with journaling, like collage journaling and stuff, I wanted to do like fun washi tape. I saw somebody do this collage recently. If I can remember who it is, I'll insert it here. But I saw this person do these collages and they had a really fun washi tape. Like it was really silly washi tape. It was really colorful. It was really fun. And typically I have gone for, well, I can just show you. Typically I've gone for pretty neutral stuff. So we have like all of these plain neutral looking ones. And then I have this like more neutral floral one. And then my 2 favorite, the cream of the crop, honestly. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see all of it. Oh, you might be able to. Is this like bee floral washi tape? I don't know. There's like some writing on it. It feels very classic. Feels very neutral. And then the other one that's my favorite that I use to death is a checker. I love a checker. I love a plaid. Something about a checkerboard is going to get me every time. It has me in a chokehold. And I do love that. I love the classic feel, but I also wanted to give myself like more variety. So the ones that I got felt super fun. They're pretty colorful. I'm very excited about it. And if I enjoy doing these more colorful spreads, I think I'm going to get some more from them because they had like 10 different varieties of washi tape. And these two were the ones that I liked the most. I got the Cozy washi tape, which has just like a bunch of cozy stuff on it. And then I got the Garden Cats one, which literally just has a bunch of garden cats on it. And I loved it. And it was colorful. It was cute. It was silly. It was everything that I was going for. And I'm very excited to work with that washi tape. Feeling very inspired right now. I'm feeling very inspired. I haven't even done it yet. My journal hasn't even got here yet. But I'm feeling very inspired to junk journal. So it is 8 o'clock right now. I had to go to the grocery store after work. I got up at 6, went to the grocery store, and I did not get home until 7:40 because the grocery store was wild. You would think it's a holiday or something. I'm setting myself up to do my baking extravaganza this weekend. Last year, I committed myself to no longer buying things for people. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying people presents. There's something really lovely about that when someone sees something that reminds them of you and they get it for you, especially like crafty items or like hyper-specific items. The thing is, my love language is making people things, whether that's baking, whether that's actually cooking something, whether that's making something. That's my love language. That's what I love to do. Why are you on the counter? Hello? When did this start? Sir, can you answer for your crimes? You're never on the counter. How could you do this to me? In front of the people? In front of the entire internet. He's been following me around all day today. I think he's going through something. Do you have the holiday blues? So I'm starting my baking extravaganza tonight. It is Friday. Christmas is soon. I'm trying to get out all of these cookies to everyone by Tuesday because that's when I'm back in the office. The reason I'm starting so early, I'm not baking all of them tonight. I'm prepping my lemon shortbread. And those require 2 days in the fridge if you want the absolute best version of them. So that's what I'm prepping today so that I can start all of the baking on Monday. I did get little bags, which I don't know where I put them. I got little gift bags to put the cookies in, and I have 15 people that I'm making cookies for. Good morning, friends. I'm at work today, but I'm in a pretty good mood because it's chilly today. I got to wear a sweater. I wrote down my 13 intentions for the winter solstice, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm feeling very grounded going into 2026, which is a weird thing to say. I usually feel excited about a new year, but this year, I don't know, I'm feeling grounded. I feel like this is going to be a huge year for me in terms of like healing and change. And I think that I'm calmly, which is weird because I'm not a very calm person. I'm very anxious. I'm pretty calmly going into 2026 and I have a lot of like intentions going into it and I'm feeling good. So I just wrote down my 13 intentions and I feel really great about them. On that note, I'm also feeling really great about the Raven Scholar. I love it. I'm a quarter into it, maybe a little over a quarter into it. And I just really, really like this type of storytelling. This is like, I don't know, I guess you could kind of compare it to the Tainted Cup in terms of it being like a traditional murder mystery within a fantasy world. However, I think that in the Tainted Cup, the magic system and the world don't matter as much to the mystery and the overall story. Whereas in here, I think that it matters immensely. I also really like this world a lot. I think it's interesting to start a book off with characters that like are not the main character because we meet this character named Yana and her father was a traitor. He was executed for being a traitor, and after his execution they've lived kind of under the radar. They try not to have too many opinions. They try not to draw attention to themselves. But one day the emperor calls Yana and her twin brother Ruko to have a meeting, and it's revealed that her father really believed in Yana, believed that Yana would be something, and gives her this pretty big opportunity However, if she doesn't want to take the opportunity, it can go to her twin brother, Ruko. Well, unfortunately, Ruko really has been working his whole life for this opportunity. And now that it's in front of him, he hopes that Hi. Oh my God, I'm sorry I got interrupted because one of my patrons knew that I was in the office and they wanted to show me this book they got from the Friends of the Library book sale, and that was so cute. One of my patrons at the library, I should say. I realize how confusing that is because Patreon, they're patrons, and at the library, they're patrons. But yeah, if you're new, I'm a public librarian. I work with all ages, but 6 of my 7 years in the library world, I've worked with children and teens. So the patron that was just talking to me was a child, and he's so cute. Anyway, I don't really remember what I was saying about the synopsis, but the one thing that you need to take away from that is that Ruko, Yana's brother, ends up making a decision to exile Yana, which in this world is like one of the worst things that you can do to somebody, and that's his twin sister. So he decides to do that, and then you flash forward, I think it's 8 years later, and you meet our actual main character, Nima. And Nima is a Raven Scholar, which makes sense. That's why the title is called The Raven Scholar. And when we meet her, she actually has a little bit of something to do with Yana's exile. So we learn a little bit about that, and then we flash forward once again to these trials. And these trials are put on because in this world, they have decided that no one family should be in line for the throne. And they have created these trials where after 24 years of somebody being on the throne, they compete for a new leader from one of the clans. And the competition is made up of 8 people, 1 person from each clan. And so Nima gets involved in these trials because the person who was supposed to be competing for the Ravens ends up dying. And Nima is apparently so clever and the only one who could solve this mystery that they put her in the competition mainly to solve this murder. But she also has to compete. So there is an opportunity for her to be on the throne. Is that going to happen? I don't really know. I can't tell if that's where this is going. I don't think so. I have a feeling where I think this is going in terms of the trials, but essentially the trials have started. So I kind of like this because the trials, unlike a lot of other books that I've read, it's not somebody fighting to the death. They're doing these various trials where they shouldn't die, but there is a possibility of getting hurt, but you shouldn't die. However, that doesn't mean that that's not happening because it seems like somebody is up to somebody trying to take down the competitors, and Nima is trying to figure it out. So it really does have that like traditional murder mystery aspect to it that I'm really enjoying, but all of the world building is also very important and informs the story really well. And I'm so fascinated by the world, and we get sometimes like interludes of different characters, and we get to learn about some of the characters like backstories, and I've been really loving those interludes a lot. And I just love the writing in here. Like there's some sarcasm, there's a lot of great banter, but it also is just smart and witty. And I also really enjoy the pacing because it's not all about the mystery. Like that is Nima's like number one, but she's also interested in the competition. She talks about the different trials that she's experiencing. There's some interpersonal connections because her ex-boyfriend is also competing in this, but they don't like hate each other. They still talk. They still have a really cordial relationship. There's also these other characters that she kind of knows or she's getting to know. And the interpersonal connections are just really fun. I like a lot of the side characters and I like the way they interact with each other. It's also super cool in terms of the world building and like the gods and people joining factions because it's giving adult Divergent. I keep calling it factions when it's like clans. But the interesting part is like people are not born into these clans. Like they get to choose them. But they do take on a lot of the personality traits that you would find from those clans once they've chosen to join them at the age of 16. I think everything is done really, really well, and I'm having a great time. And I do think that this could potentially be 5 stars. Okay, I apologize in advance because this is gonna be some Blair Witch ass shaky camera work, but I need an update and I'm in the middle of a cookie extravaganza, all right? I have to bake all of these cookies and I'm listening to The Raven Scholar. It is so good. There are so many twists and turns. I really thought this was gonna function similarly to The Tainted Cup and The Drop of Corruption, where the world is the same, but the mysteries are different. I think we're gonna get a through line within this trilogy because I did read somewhere that this was going to be a trilogy. Oh my god, I went online to look to see when the second book is coming out. There's no announcement for it. I'm really, really hoping that it comes out similar time range in 2026 as it came out in 2025 because I need the second book and I'm not even finished with the first one yet. I feel that this could be a 5-star. Only slight thing holding me back from the possibility of a 5-star is this does feel a little long because I feel like we're getting to the end and then I'm like, oh, I still have 2 hours left of the audiobook. And this actually is not the first time in this book that I felt like we were coming to a conclusion or getting close to a conclusion and then being like, oh, I have 5 hours left. This book is almost 700 pages, so I don't know that it needed to be 700 pages. However, the world building is very well fleshed out and very well designed and crafted and like constantly communicated to you about what is happening with these different clans and the different traits that they possess and how the traits of these clans correspond with a lot of the challenges they're facing in the competition. I actually really like the competition a lot. Literally these characters having to use their cunning, having to use their own traits from their clan to figure out the challenges, even if the challenge has to do with another clan. They often succeed by being themselves and using what they already are equipped with. And you see this a lot with Nima. Also, I'm obsessed with Cain. Okay, Cain all day, baby. Cain all day, baby. I'm obsessed with him. What a little shithead. I love him so much. Anyway, I'm determined to finish it tonight. It will be done. It shall be done. It's done. It's done. The cookie extravaganza over. Done and dusted. I have made probably 70 cookies. I have frosted them. I have packaged them with the help of Cowboy Jared. He's been so helpful through this whole process, but they're done and they go out tomorrow and I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see how people like them. Though, and I've mentioned this before, the one thing that like lives in the back of my brain is the idea that secretly people are lying to me about the pastries being good and that I'm actually the worst baker on earth and that they just can't say anything because they know that I get so much joy from baking, but ultimately I suck butt. But isn't it just kind of them to not say anything? I also baked 2 loaves of bread for my friends. Well, one of them, she's like my bestie at work and I've always talked about giving her a loaf of bread. And then the other person at work, she was just randomly talking to me about sourdough. She was like, oh man, I love sourdough so much. And I said, well, did you know that I make sourdough? And I said, but I'm new at this game. I'm new at the sourdough game. So like, I don't really know if they're good. I think they taste good, but once again, what if my taste buds are wrong? What if they're off? What if they're bad? Defective even. And she was like, shut up, just make me some bread. And so I did. And in the meantime, I finished this long ass book because, oh my God, this was long. And that is literally my one full critique is this was too long for me. And I don't know what it is about this that made it feel so long because I was really invested. I usually like a long book and it had like a mystery component, but I think it was what I said before where there were moments when I was like, man, this should be wrapping up. And then it just kept going. It just simply felt too long. However, I loved this book and I am gonna give it 5 stars. Did it, besties? We found the 5-star. We found the 5-star. This is like my perfect murder mystery for the fact that it's set in a fantastical world. The fantastical world is interesting and also plays into what's happening in the mystery as well as other aspects to the challenges and like an overarching plot that's definitely going to be unfolding in the rest of the series, which is another thing that I think is going to work really well for me is that there is a through line rather than independent mysteries. Though I do think that once we get into the second book, there's probably going to be new mysteries unfolding because I don't know how else you're gonna build a book around just this simple through line that's in here. This pretty much checked every box that I could ask for a fantasy that is mystery focused. Because I tend to like mysteries more than thrillers, and that's why thrillers are like my least picked up genre, I often try and pick up and read mysteries that have fantastical worlds, i.e. The Tainted Cup, which is what I've talked about before. I tried to read The Helm of Midnight, a few of the C.L. Polk books, which usually have mysteries and they're like fantastical worlds, but a lot of them are in the Renaissance era. And none of those, except for The Tainted Cup, have really worked for me. So I started to question if I even like mysteries, but this just made me realize that I like a very specific type of mystery. And I guess for me, it was the fact that there is a lot of found family in here. There's like a love story that's unfolding, but it doesn't take up too much of the plot. There are these trials that are very fascinating, but it's not really the centerfold of the book. The mystery is central to the plot, and it has like so many layers to it. I suppose that's also what makes a good mystery to me, is like something that has so many layers that it's impossible for you to call every aspect of the mystery. Like maybe you can obviously pinpoint certain things that feel obvious in the mystery, but then there are layers upon layers that keep unfolding that make it such a nuanced mystery where like, yes, I called these couple of things, but all of these other things were extremely surprising and twisty, and I thought that this had a lot of really good twists and turns. I thought the reveal and what we are setting up for the next book is fantastic, and I'm really needing the second book in my hands immediately. Once again, touching on found family, the characters were great. They were really well realized. They were very nuanced, but also their interactions with each other, loved them. I love them. I love Kane so much. But there are a lot of characters in here that I really liked for different reasons, and there are a lot of characters that maybe you're a little bit unsure about, but their stories unfold in a way that makes you so interested in who they are and what they're up to. The structure of this book also worked really well for me, and I loved getting backstory. I don't know if maybe I am someone who just loves getting backstory on every character ever, because I'm such a character-driven reader that it makes sense to me that I want to know the backstories. I want to know the mess. I want to know what everyone was getting up to. I feel like the Raven clans, they want to know the mess. They're gonna get down to the nitty-gritty of everyone's business. So we found it, besties. We found the 5-star. Let's see what won the fantasy category. So if we're being honest, I don't think the Raven Scholar won, simply because Brandon Sanderson is in this category, and Brandon Sanderson takes it every single time. Now, will he take it with Wind and Truth? I don't really know, because I feel like oftentimes readership goes down the further you get into a series just because people are catching up. So there is a possibility that he may not have won simply because readership wasn't as high, but I don't really believe that. You don't really believe that, although the winners have been out for a while now, so you probably know better than me. Bury Our Bones won. Wow. I really thought it was going to be Brandon Sanderson, to be honest. Brandon Sanderson didn't even make it into the top 2. He's in the top 3 still, but like not even the top 2. Catabasis was number 2. Bury Our Bones got 50,000 more votes than Wind and Truth. Okay, wait, where is the Raven Scholar? Where are you? Where is the Raven Scholar is so far down. How is the Strength of the Few higher than the Raven Scholar? And I'm not saying that because I think that the Strength of the Few doesn't deserve to be that high. I don't really know. I haven't read it. I loved The Will of the Many, but it has barely been out. Well, anyway, the Raven Scholar is basically at the bottom. I'm acting like I'm surprised. This was a debut novel from an author that no one really knows, so it's not actually surprising that it's that far down. It's really not. I'm just glad that it made it into the top 10. Okay, friends, we get to roll with advantage in the next video, and the next video is our last Vlogmas video. I'm actually very sad, but I'm also excited to like move on to other projects. Nevertheless, I hope to see you tomorrow in the next Vlogmas video. Bye, friends.